Well, this Constellation was built in 1948-49 as a C-121A. You know, it was a cargo aircraft. And it served the Air Force several years at that capacity, including with a Berlin airlift. I think they selected 6, I believe, of these C-121As and made VC-121As out of them, which were VIP airplanes. And this particular one was assigned to General Douglas MacArthur. That's the name Bataan. So it's a pretty historical airplane. That's really why it survived all these years. The plane's family acquired the airplane in 1992. We got it out of Fort Rucker, so we were able to make a trade for it. We sent our team over there, worked on it about 6 months, and flew it out of there. Went to Dothan, Alabama. One of the VPs at Lockheed had just retired, and he had just found out that we had acquired this airplane, and he was a crew chief on this back in the MacArthur days. And Lockheed was kind enough to strip the airplane, all the paint off of it, and put it into MacArthur's markings. When we got the plane there at Chino, we kept it for about a year in flyable condition, and we decided it was really too expensive for us to consider maintaining it in an safe operating condition. So we took it out to our museum out in Arizona near the Grand Canyon and Valley. And it sat there about 20 years. And we were contacted by Rod Lewis and his foundation. The airplane wasn't for sale by any means, but the fact that Rod Lewis has the means and has the desire and has the reputation, we thought that the airplane would be in better hands in his control. And so Rod and his foundation took it and hired us to restore it. And here we are 8 years later. And we had thousands and thousands and thousands of man hours on this thing. We did a lot to it. We had the tail off, we had the outer wings off, all the flaps, a lot of skins off the wings and the engines, landing gear had been out of it. And our team stayed on it, and we recently got it flying about 6 weeks ago. I think we put about 15 hours on it, and then we came to Oshkosh. And it's not completed yet either. The mechanically and exterior appearance is how it's going to be, but the interior will go in next, and that'll start maybe in December. It'll have a complete new interior put in it. Right, what we see right now is just a temporary interior. When we first started the restoration, we contacted Vintage V12s, Mike Nixon's company. He has probably the largest inventory of Wright 3350 parts and the expertise. And originally, the C-121A had what they called 749BD18C1 engines, which are R3350, but they're like the second generation R3350 engines. And they were very good engines, but the later engines, the turbo compounded, very latest ones that flew all the big airliners, we combined those two versions of the engine for what's in here now. I've flown B-17 and B-24, Convairs, DC-3s, and those kind of big airplanes. I haven't flown anything this big before. Stu Dawson was captain. We trade legs now. We're both checked out in it.
This one is probably the fastest of the 4 engines that I've been in. It's got hydraulically boosted controls, which is nice. It's different systems with this Lockheed than normally what we're used to. But it's a great airplane. I mean, it's pretty fast. We came out here from Chino, about 260 knots across the ground. We weren't paddling hard, we were just coming.
It flies, I always tell everybody, they say, how does it fly? Well, it flies like it's a big yacht. It's not what you call responsive, but it's totally controllable. It lands slow. You're touching down around even less than 100 miles an hour sometimes. The issue with this is just complicated in systems. It's Lockheed. It appears to be more complicated than it needs to be compared to a Douglas or a Boeing. It all works, and it works well. when the opportunity arises to make it a appointed destination, it's always, you know, a lot of years we're working, you know, or we're doing other things, we can't come, but you know, it usually becomes an X on the calendar early in the year, you know, and we love connecting with all the people that we don't see very often, and that's the big attraction. Everybody here, it's a very positive attitude and mood, and it's a spectacle, you know, and we gotta, you know, if we could do it, we sure like coming.
I was around these type of aircranes, not as big as the Constellation, but all round engine stuff and everything. And I flew Twin Beaches and DC-3s and DC-4s, and I never ever thought I would get to play with this airplane. You just never know. And I feel very fortunate that I did get to do this.